I just want to start this video by saying that my grandmother is an epic gamer who decimates all in her way in Farmville and Candy Crush, and has been able to enact her conquests thanks to this Dell Optiplex that I pimped out. It originally came with an i5-3470, 8GB of RAM, and a DVD drive. I decided to add a better power supply, the Corsair CX450, 16GB of RAM instead of the original 8, a 128GB SATA SSD, and a 1TB hard drive, and presently it has a GT730 along with a generic USB Wi-Fi adapter. It serves her well, and I even used it at one point as a budget gaming PC for a few months, where I had a GTX 1060 in there instead of the GT730. Unfortunately, the computer has been starting to show its age a little bit and is pretty loud, so it's time for an upgrade. Now, Grandma's games are very intense and include lots of fast-paced action, but thankfully don't render too many polygons, and thus don't require a high-end graphics card. This means that I can reuse the GT730 originally in the Optiplex, and not have to sell my kidney to buy an RTX 3080 that is 200% marked up at legitimate retailers, or 300% marked up on eBay. Other than that, I meant to go for a nice mid-range build that will last her a good amount of years, but is also cheaper than most pre-builds. Here are the parts I used. For the CPU, motherboard, and RAM combo, there's nothing actually in here. I just wanted to use that for show. It's actually all in here, and it's a bit of a hassle to get it out of the bag, but this motherboard is a B450M Pro 4 by ASRock. It's an excellent motherboard, especially for the price. I've been seeing them all around for 50 to 60 bucks, and they have excellent power delivery especially for those higher core chips. But we don't have one of those. Under this Race Stealth cooler is a Ryzen 5 1600AF, which is a pretty decent budget gaming processor, even at the over MSRP prices that it's selling at nowadays. Like, if you can pick it up for like $120 or $110, I'd say that's a pretty good deal, because it's probably the lowest price besides going with an old Xeon for 6 cores, 12 threads. And even though it does have lower clocks, those multi-threading is going to do well. And then the RAM is some Alloy, I forgot which one, it's the plain ones. They are 16 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes each, and they were the ones I could find on sale, and they're 3000 megahertz, so definitely enough for the 1600AF. This is the Team Group MP33 NVMe PCIe SSD. I was able to get this for a really good price, under 50 bucks, for an NVMe 512 gigabyte SSD. This is the EVGA 550 watt power supply. This is the regular one that's not even 80 plus white. It's their bog standard, really cheap one, which I was able to get for a really good deal, which is why I got it in the first place. But it also definitely has plenty of headroom for if bigger, beefier graphics cards are needed in the future. And even for such a cheap power supply, it even comes with nice braided cables. This is the Gigabyte GCWB 867Di. This is a really nice Wi-Fi card that I was able to pick up locally for a really good price. And in here there is the actual Wi-Fi, and then under it, you pull this up, and then here is the antenna, and it not only provides Wi-Fi, but it also does Bluetooth. This is the Lian Li Landcool 215, which is an excellent budget airflow case. Unfortunately, it's not as budget nowadays. It's kind of gone up there to mid-range in terms of price. But the mesh front, along with the two 200mm ARGB fans, as soon as my grandma saw it, she was instantly sold on it. And so I'm gonna unbox this, and I'll get back to you in a second. After unboxing this, my first impressions are that I really like it. 200 millimeter fans that are ARGB. Those are definitely going to be great. It even comes with a 120 mil exhaust fan, and it seems like a more, you know, budget version of the Land Cool 2 that I originally have, which is perfectly fine, especially when it's selling at the price of $70. But when I got it, it was about like $86. And at that point, especially when you factor in shipping, if it's getting close to like that $100 tier, might as well go with the Land Cool 2 mesh. But for just a computer that's not going to be Epic Gaming, or even like a cheaper Epic Gaming PC, I would say this is looking pretty nice. There will unfortunately be no building montage this video because I do not have the equipment nor the expertise to film a PC building montage. That's to those who do. But I did manage to build it and have it working in under an hour. This build was kind of weird because one step was to copy the files and windows from the SATA SSD in the Optiplex to the new NVMe drive. To do this required the use of this janky Chinese NVMe to PCIe adapter to copy the files. To my surprise, it worked perfectly on the first try. All the files are there, and Windows is running faster thanks to the new NVMe drive. Now I want to shine some light on the start of this build, the Land Cool 215. It's definitely a budget case when it comes to building in it, and some of the design choices are a bit dumb in my opinion, especially for Lian Li. One minor problem is that the PSU shroud is too short. It can only fit the ATX power supply and has no clearance for anything else, even the HD audio cable, so I had to route it differently and it ends up being a bit exposed more. I'm not gonna die with it being exposed more, but it's kind of a nuisance. Another issue is the slot screws for the graphics card and the Wi-Fi card. They required a big screwdriver and about 500,000 foot-pounds of torque to untighten for the first time, which is a little bit more than it should be for thumb screws. A less forgivable mistake is the fan hub included. Now, having one in a budget case is a very nice bonus. Unfortunately, this fan hub has no fan out to the motherboard. This prevents the fan speed from being able to be controlled by the motherboard, which is an integral factor of modern fans. Thankfully, the B450M Pro 4 has enough fan out connectors to connect the included fans and be able to control the fan speed in BIOS. But even like budget fan kits, like when you order those that have like a bunch of fans, like 3 to 6, they come with hubs, even if they're not PWM, that still have a connector from the hub to the motherboard so that you can control the fan speed through BIOS or software. Now, other than those problems I mentioned, the case does look excellent. The 200mm RGB fans are amazing, and I would recommend this case, but only if it's at the $70 or less. So far, my grandma loves this new PC, and now eviscerates all in our path a bit more efficiently, and flexes on all of her friends with her new 200mm RGB fan computer. The actual performance of this PC compared to the pimped out Optiplex isn't a huge amount better, but this PC will definitely age a lot better compared to the Optiplex thanks to the Ryzen 5 1600AF, which has the 50% more cores and 3 times the threads, along with better IPC and the faster SSD, along with lots of other quality of life improvements of newer hardware. It also runs a bit cooler and especially is a lot quieter, which is a huge bonus for all of us. I hope you all enjoyed this build and this video, and have a scrumptious day.